So today I want to talk about a controversial topic, which is Looksmaxxing. I want to give some of the arguments for it, some of the arguments against it, a little bit of background on what it is, kind of the definition, and my final thoughts on the matter. So, in terms of Looksmaxxing, just to give some background, really at the end of the day, Looksmaxxing is just improving your looks to your best ability. And the foundation is built upon the belief that your success is highly, highly correlated with the way you look. And this relates to what's called the halo effect. So, to give you an example of this, if you imagine some creep on the subway watching, a girl as she's on her phone. Now, imagine that guy, really ugly guy, dirty clothes, messy hair, really rough looking, staring at this girl on the subway. And when she sees him, she's creeped out, right? She's disgusted, she's annoyed, and she's texting her friend, "Oh my God, this creepy guy is staring at me." Now, take that same exact scenario, but make that creepy guy this Prince Charming, good looking guy, tan skin, nice hair, muscular, and the entire dynamic of the situation changes. She's like, "Oh my gosh, this really cute guy is staring at me. Should I talk to him?" Like, literally just the change of the look can change so many situations. And the halo effect also has more prominence in the case of Jeremy Meeks, who was an individual who was arrested and bailed out by females because of the way he looked, and he even was able to get a modeling contract while in jail. And many studies correlate your looks, which can include height, facial attractiveness, your body, skin quality. There's a lot of different aspects to the overall look, but studies have shown that this correlates highly with your income, which is basically your take home pay, your success on the dating market, obviously. So finding a better partner for your future child, big deal there. I even had one like when you're on a sales call, the perception of if you had an attractive girl or an ugly girl in the background on the call changed like the outcome that the prospect would make in terms of moving forward with the sale. And I feel like a lot of us can attest to, the change of which people treat us when we are at our ugliest versus when we're good looking. There's no doubt a change in the way people perceive you. And that comes down to human nature at the end of the day. So, a big argument that I'll hear is that, well, first, let me start out with this. A lot of people are so averse to the word looks maxing. They think, like, oh my God, it's this it means hard surgery. It means hours smashing your face with a hammer. When in reality, if I were to ask that same person, "Hey, what do you do when you wake up for work in the morning?" I assume you get up, you wash your face, you do your hair, you get nice, you dress up in your little tie to impress your boss and your coworkers. What exactly are you doing? You're looks maxing. You're improving your looks so that the perception of your individuals in your office, or even your internal perception, is improved. You don't go to work with sloppy hair. You don't go to work with shit attire. You don't go to work with looking like a bum, because what happens is your peers are going to look at you as if you're a bum. Your boss is not going to promote you. Your customers aren't going to respect you or want to move forward with working with you, because your value, whether we like it or not, is tied to the perception of which people see you. And it's a very real thing. So, in terms of looks maxing, that can be as simple as getting lean, as simple as doing your hair, as simple as dressing nice in the morning. All of us are doing it all the time. And so, where do we actually define that line between what is looks maxing versus what is just looking nice in general? There really isn't a line, because looks maxing covers the entire basis of that. Now, there is extreme side to it in terms of what's called hard maxing, which is more surgery oriented. And we'll talk about that in a second. But I just wanted to define at the beginning what is Looksmaxxing, kind of the halo effect. And the fact of the matter is, people that are even turned off by that word itself, we're doing it every day. Sorry, I'm drinking from a straw so I don't stain my teeth. But one of the big arguments that I hear online against Looksmaxxing is the fact that someone's looks should never be prioritized higher than their personality, or prioritized higher than their loyalty and their trust and their humbleness and all of these other characteristics, right? That are extremely important. And the logic is, well, you're saying that as a looks maxer, you're saying that looks are more important than your personality. and you're diminishing all of these other things that are arguably more important. And what I say to that is you're treating Looksmaxxing as if I, the individual, let's say I'm Looksmaxxing, I only prioritize looks over anything else, which is not inherently true. The idea of Looksmaxxing is from a pure objective perspective. As an individual doing Looksmaxxing, you understand inherently that your looks highly correlate to your success, whether that's financial success, economic success, dating success, cultural success, societal success. You understand from the studies that are published that your looks highly correlate with your success. And that is an objective perspective. You being a Looksmaxxer, improving your looks, does not tell the world that, hey, I value looks over anything else. I only value what's going to give me the most success in life. And if society is telling me that I need to look great in order to achieve that, then of course I'll take it from an objective perspective and do that. But that doesn't mean that as an individual wanting to improve their looks, that is your highest priority, right? Me personally, in terms of finding a lifelong partner, for example, looks are very low on the list, right? There's loyalty, the personality. Do you guys get along? Can you be in a room with this person for the rest of your life? Like, there are a lot of other factors that come into play where looks are dime a dozen, right? It's one of the least important things in that scenario. But if we're talking about pure economic success, pure success in the realm of what is objective, then of course I'm going to try to look my best to achieve that. And so the main point is that just because Looksmaxxing is trying to improve your looks, it doesn't mean you put your looks as number one priority over anything else. You're simply looking at the objective truth and improving the trigger and the pulling that lever that can get you the highest ROI in terms of success. Now, if you really wanted to fix society and be like, hey, instead of looking at the individuals trying to improve their looks, you should be looking at the core of the issue, which is how we value each other in society in general, right? So instead of saying, oh, Looksmaxxer, you're bad for wanting to look better, you should be saying, why do we value looks over anything else in society? Why do we do that? Well, I mean, there's a couple things, right? It's hard to value someone's personality in the first minute of meeting them. So we need to use our judgment. And how do we judge someone that we don't know? We use their looks. And so if you, let's say we lived in a world where we didn't judge people based on their looks and we didn't actually care if you look good or not. We don't judge you based on that. We're not going to give you a higher salary because of that. Because you're taller, we're going to give you, more benefits. We're going to have the halo effect over you because you look different. If society didn't value that, then there would be no point in the Looksmaxxing. The only reason Looksmaxxing exists is because society values looks over anything else in the short-term context, right? And so that's a big argument that I'll hear is like, as a Looksmaxxer, you only care about the way you look. You don't value anything else. It's like, I care about what society cares about. I'm just focusing on the objective truth. If you want to fix society, that's how you would fix it at the core. You're just punishing me, who's taking the objective data and translating that into actionable steps, not fixing the core issue. And the last thing I'll say on Looksmaxxing is, at the end of the day, why are we doing all of this, right? Like, why do we do anything? Why do we want to improve our health? Why do we want to look better? Why do we want to look better to then make more income, to then have more opportunities, to then have the halo effect, to then have approval? We do all of that. All of those reasons at the end of the day come down to one core reason, which is overall happiness, which is overall being content. So if you could shortcut, instead of saying, hey, I need to look better to make more money, to then be happy because I can buy a house and then people will love me and then I'll finally be happy, which we know is probably far from the truth. But if we could just shortcut, instead of going step by step and going through that whole maze, we just go straight to happiness. There'd be no reason to Looksmaxx. At the end of the day, the steps of Looksmaxxing is getting us to an end result that is ultimately happiness. That's the reason we do really anything in life. Think of anything that you do in life. It all comes down to wanting to be happier and be content with your life. So overall, to sum up, I think at the end of the day, the halo effect is a very real thing. And it's real because society has made it real. So instead of punishing the individual trying to look their best, which by the way, we're all doing regardless, every single day we're waking up and trying to look our best because we know it's important. At the end of the day, if you want to eliminate looks maxing, you need to eliminate the fact that society values looks in the short term. Now, how do you actually do that? Pretty much impossible, from my understanding, because a lot of this is rooted in our DNA, and our DNA is very, very slow to update in order to get with the modern times, right? We still have a lot of caveman era tendencies. Our reptilian brain is still way back in the past, and we are not adaptable. We've adapted very little to the modern environment in terms of how exponential society has increased in terms of what is happening around us, our environment. Our primal brain is still back in the caveman era. And so to change that at a foundational level, I think is basically impossible. And so, what should you do going forward as an action item? Look your best. And that also includes being healthy, right? Part of looks maxing is dialing in your health, having better skin, eating better food, leaning out for overall health benefits. So, inadvertently, not only are you increasing your longevity so you can enjoy that happiness in life, you're also you're utilizing the halo effect to your advantage so you can build your long term wealth and ultimately give yourself a better life and your family a better life. And so to sum up, I think there's nothing wrong with wanting to look your best and playing off of that um, because of the way society is structured. Unfortunately, that's what we have to do. And there's nothing bad about it. I mean, at the end of the day, we all do it already, and we all understand that from a fundamental level. So those are my overall thoughts on looks maxing. Thanks so much for watching. Take care.